Okay. Hiya, Vicky from Spellbound here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to get started with simple spiral rope. Right, so in this video I'm going to demonstrate simple spiral rope. This particular version of the stitch I'm doing using two sizes of beads. I've got a size 8 for the core bead and a size 10 for the spiral that goes around the outside. You can do this using lots of different combinations, so you could have size 8 on the core and on the spiral, size 10 on both. I have seen it done with size 15s, but you need an awful lot of patience and a very fine needle if you're going to do that, so maybe start with the larger beads. Okay, so I've threaded my needle already and I'm going to add a keeper bead to the end. So this is a bead that's a contrasting bead that stands out against the rest of your project, and it's just going to stop the bead sliding off. So I've threaded the bead onto the thread. I'm going to leave quite a long tail because I'm going to use the tail to add the clasp to the beginning end of the bracelet when we get there. And all I'm going to do is tie a simple overhand knot around the bead, and that will stop that bead moving. It will stop the beads that we thread on sliding off, and it will just help to control your tension when we get started. So, spiral rope stitch. We're going to start by picking up 4 core beads, slide those all the way down, and then pick up 3 spiral beads, and then we're going to take the needle back up through the 4 core beads in the same direction as before. And what this will do is bring the spiral beads around the outside of the thread. Next we're going to pick up 1 more core bead and 3 spiral beads. Slide those all the way down to your work, and then this is where you do. What you're going to do now is, that's the core bead we've just put on. You're going to count back 3 more, and you're going to go up through the last 4 core beads, and that will pull your spiral beads down alongside. What you need to do, and this is the bit that people tend to forget, is move those beads over so they're sitting on top of the previous spiral. Okay, again, 1 core, 3 spiral, slide them all the way down. Oops, try not to flick it about too much. Last one, new one added, 1, 2, 3, and come up. Doesn't matter, you don't have to do it all in one go. So I've come through 3, and there's the one we've just added. So we'll go through that one, and again push the beads over. I'll do this, you do this another couple of times and you'll see the spiral start to form quite quickly. So again, bead we've just added, 1, 2, 3, no, and there we go, and that one's put itself in place nicely. 1, 2, 3. And then one we've just added, 1, 2, 3rd bead down, and you can see there the spiral is starting to form a nice diagonal as we're going round. So that's the principle for spiral rope, so we're going to keep doing that until we get to the length that we need. So refresher, 1 core, 3 spiral, slide it down, one we've just added, 1, 2, 3, and up we go. And that is basic spiral rope. Okay, so as you can see, I've now worked a length of the spiral rope, and you can really see how the spiral's developing. So what you're going to do is you're going to continue this for the full length that you want your bracelet or necklace to be, and then a really handy way of finishing it off is using a bead and loop fastening. So for this, I'm going to use some 6mm facets. I'm going to use 2 because it makes it so that there is a slight adjustment possible on the end of your bracelet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up one of the size 8s, which was my core bead, then my first 6mm facet, and then I'm going to pick up 3 more size 8s, the second facet, 1 more size 8, and then 3 size 10s. I'm going to slide that all the way down to the end of the work, and we're going to make a little picot. So we're going to leave aside the last 3 size 10s that we've added. We're going to come back through the size 8, the 6mm, the 3 size 8s in the middle, and we're going to come back through the core bead so that we're coming out at the bottom of the spiral that we've the last spiral that we made. So pull your thread all the way through. Make sure you picot, encourage your picot to sit nicely at the top, and then what we're going to do is we're going to take the needle back up through the spiral beads, back into the body of the work, and back up to reinforce everything on the end. It's a good idea to do this because we're only using a single length of thread. It can stretch, it can twist, it can get caught, and it's always better to have 2 layers of thread running through. Back down and all the way back down again into the body of the work. Okay. Now you can reinforce this a 3rd time if you want to. My tension is a little bit tight, so it can, if I went through again, it would possibly make this a little bit stiff, so we don't want that. So what we'll do is we'll finish off the end of the thread. So we're going to take the needle behind the threads in the core, whoops, behind the threads in the core to make a loop, and then we're just going to make the knot. Take your needle through the middle of the loop and pull it nice and tight. Go back through a few more beads and tie another knot, and then through another couple of beads, just so that we move the end of the thread away from the knot. This will just help the knot to stay nice and secure. So cut that end off, and then we'll go back to the start of the work here. We'll take the keeper bead off. That should slide off nice and easily because you've only tied a single knot. I'm going to re-thread the needle. Take the needle to the end of the thread and you should find it will go on quite easily. And now we're going to make a loop that fits over this end of the beads. So I'm going to pick up 2 of my core beads and then enough size 10s to fit comfortably around this loop. So it's approximately 16 size 10s for a 6mm bead. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so to bring that into a loop, I'm just going to go back through the last size 8 bead that we added there, and then I'm just going to check it for size over the beads. So that's fitting nice. It's snug, but it's not, I'm not having to force it over, and it's not just falling straight back out. If your loop is too big, take the needle off the end of your thread, pull the thread back out, take a few beads off. If your loop is too small, again, needle off the end of your thread, pull it back, add a few more beads on. You might find you need to adjust it. Beads with different finishes can be slightly different sizes, so that's something that you might just need to adjust. And again, we're going to come and reinforce this loop. So back down through the core beads to come out at the bottom of your spiral, back up through your spiral, and then back up and around your loop. And again, as you reinforce your loop, it will just tighten it up slightly, so something to take into account when you're adding your beads. all the way around and back into the body of the rope. Just check the loop still fits. Yep, that's lovely. And again, just finish off the thread ends.